We've reached the halfway point of the season and it's hard to remember a closer, more tightly fought A-League men's campaign. Just 6 points separating first from eighth. Only 3 teams with a 50% or better winning record. Upsets and drama on a weekly basis. Arrivals and departures, injuries and recoveries. And over 35 points still available for the 12 sides. 2 teams from opposite ends of the table clash today. But if the first half of the season has taught us anything, it's to expect the unexpected and that nothing is guaranteed. Welcome to Go Media Stadium for round 14 action in the Isuzu UTE League as Auckland FC host the Central Coast Mariners live here on Sky Sport. Well, Neil Finn of Crowded House famously wrote the hit single 4 Seasons in One Day about the city of Auckland, and we've certainly had it today. Jacob Spoonley alongside. Could be bright sunshine, could be thunder and lightning. What about on the pitch, Jacob?
Well, we have been under siege from the weather here in Auckland, and the North Island has been battered. Our thoughts remain with those affected down at the Mount. But let's focus on the football and forget about the table, because this season it means nothing. What we do know, though, is that Auckland, yet again, Tiny, are seeking a response, having, in many ways, underperformed last week. So what is the message from Corica, and how will it be implemented by his team?
It's only a short history, we know, but Auckland FC have never lost consecutive matches in the A-League. The Mariners hope to be history makers and heartbreakers today as the 2 teams make their way out onto the grass here at Go Media Stadium, which is a little bit damp, but for the meantime the sun peeking out from some of the clouds high above. The mascots today are the children of many of the staff and players here. Special moments for them. Francis de Vries continues his record of starting every single one of Auckland FC's matches and has the armband today in the absence of Hiroki Sakai, who is injured. The country has watched with horror, helplessness and despair at the tragic weather events in Mount Maunganui these last few days. In recognition of those who have lost their lives, we're about to observe a moment's silence.
Auckland FC is deeply saddened by the devastating landslides and severe storms that have struck New Zealand's North Island. We remember those who have tragically lost their lives and hold hope for those still missing. We stand in solidarity with all communities affected by heavy rain and widespread flooding. Our thoughts and prayers are with the families, the emergency responders working tirelessly, and everyone impacted by this tragedy. Please stand, if you are able, for a moment of silence. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Impeccably observed. Our thoughts and best wishes with those affected by the devastating events a couple of 100 kilometres south of Auckland. Steve Corica makes 2 changes to the side that started the 2-1 defeat to Melbourne City last Friday night. Hiroki Sakai, as mentioned, misses out with a hamstring niggle that forced him off in that game. Jake Girdwood-Wright comes in at right back. Further forward, Kijumo Mai gets a first start since New Year's Day. Logan Rogerson drops down to the bench. Lockie Brook goes in search of a club record today. A goal would be his 4th in successive matches. No Auckland FC player has ever achieved that feat. Warren Moon keeps faith with the same starting 11 from the 1-1 draw with MacArthur last time out. The 3 debutants, Ollie Naval, Ali Ugla and Chris Tennell, all keep their spots. Captain Brad Tapp and 37 played every minute of the season. Lucas Moragas plays A-League game number 99, having also featured for Newcastle and for Wellington. There's a potential Mariners debut off the bench for former Western Sydney and Perth striker Nathaniel Blair. Nathan Paul returns from under-23 duty to take his place on the bench. Attacking artillery in reserve for Auckland in the form of Francois, Rogerson and Bidwar. Steve Corica is in slightly unfamiliar territory today with Auckland FC victorious in just one of their last 4 matches, including a first away loss of the season last time out. He knows, though, a win today would restore his side's 3-point buffer at the top of the A-League ladder. Mariners boss Warren Moon has a pretty good head-to-head record against Steve Corica. This is the 10th time they've squared off as A-League head coaches. They've overseen 2 wins apiece, with 5 of those matches ending in draws. Adam Kersey's on the whistle today, his second visit to Auckland this season after controlling the New Zealand derby in December, assisted by Isaac Travis and Astro Salakis. Jack Morgan is the 4th official. Casey Rybel's in the VAR booth if required, assisted today by Brad Wright. Storm Roos on home soil in many regards today, with his national coach watching on. The 18-cap All Whites fullback will be looking to press his claims for a spot in Darren Baisley's World Cup squad. And Dan Hall faces his former club this afternoon. 74 games across 4 seasons with the Mariners, part of the championship winning team in 2022-23, and the side that won the double the following season before his move to Auckland FC last season. The countdown reaches its conclusion and the game is underway at Go Media on a holiday weekend in the city of Sales. Auckland FC in blue and black, kicking from right to left in the first half. The Mariners all in yellow, attacking the goal to the right of your screen. Just the 4th meeting between the two. 2 wins to Auckland, both of those in Australia. This is the Mariners' 2nd visit to this venue in round 23 last season. As you saw in our pre-game, they came back from 1-0 down and 2-1 down to secure a 2-2 draw that day. The sun is out for the meantime. We cannot guarantee its presence for the entire match, but what we can guarantee is a tightly fought contest if this season's anything to go by, and it's the Mariners who show out early. Ball played across the 6-yard area. No man in a yellow shirt there to tap it home, but an early scare perhaps for the Port, who are resident behind that goal. Look to go left again, Lucas Moragas, who's been in terrific form for the side this season. To link with McKelmont and now to Pizio. But slippery underfoot as Auckland FC get their first little period of possession. Here's Mai. Keep a close eye on formation, Jacob, and exactly where Kijumo Mai turns up, because we can see Lockie Brook in 77 in that 10 roll to start.
It's very interesting. Defensively, they are set up in a 4-4-2, as you would expect. The other wrinkle on this is what's going to happen down that right-hand side. Jake Gerwood-Reich is not known for getting forward more often than not deployed as a centre-back or a defensive midfield, but it does look in possession that Auckland are going to shift to a 3-2-4-1, and as you say, where will Mai and Brook appear?
Well, Francis de Vries always appears up and down the left. I think we can be fairly confident of that. He spurned the opportunity to go to the line there, and instead they'll calm things down and head out towards Gerwood-Reich on the right. A rare loss for Auckland FC last time out. You can see the graphic there, just 1 win in their last 4. Very unlike Auckland FC, who historically, and yes, it is a short history, have been very, very good. Peinica, not sure what the exact point of that was from Nando Peinica, what he was aiming to do, the objective.
Well, the big figure of Sam Cosgrove was trying to lay a foundation, and Peinica wanted to punch it into him. And just a comment on the field here. Ed Sheeran has been touring, and it is newly laid turf down Andrew Redmayne's end. We have been assured that it is consistent, albeit not aesthetically pleasing.
Whistle the way of Auckland FC. Paul Eiffel in commentary today as well. Just before we come to you, Paul, there's Sam Cosgrove. You'll see 09 on his back. Monday is Auckland anniversary day. It's a long weekend. Sam Cosgrove paying tribute to the 09. In particular, for those of you across the Tasman, 09 is the area code for Auckland. That's why the 09 on the back of Sam Cosgrove's shirt today. He'll be a key figure again, Paul Eiffel.
Yeah, hopefully we're not talking about Ed Sheeran being a key figure, but we're talking about Cosgrove. I'm a big fan of Ed, but I'm not pleased with what he's done to the pitch, but hopefully it won't affect the game too much. Look, I think Sam Cosgrove has been excellent at times. I think he could be a little bit more consistent. Hopefully we see that today, but like I said in the pre-game, let's get bodies in and around him. If they do need to go a little bit longer, he can be that platform.
As you can see, Sam Cosgrove leads the league in goal contributions with the 5 he scored and the 3 assists. He seems to have worked out the referees as well. 4 yellow cards in his first 7 matches, but none in the 6 since. Of course, if you get 5 yellow cards, you have to sit out a match, and he's managed to stave that off for the meantime and done a pretty good job of working out, well, I guess, how not to pick up yellow cards.
He's continued to be an agitator, but he's not getting distracted by those individual confrontations.
And the action here now is De Vries.
And just coming back to you on that point around Auckland's formation, very much shifting to a 3-2-4-1, and it means that Guillermo Mai, as he does here, can get on the ball in the pocket behind Cosgrove, but Lockie Brook has joined him, so dual 10s for Steve Corica.
Great cross from De Vries, climbing his Cosgrove. We know how powerful he is in those situations. Goodwood Reich! Well, the octave went up because Jake Goodwood Reich very rarely scores goals. Hasn't got one for Auckland FC, closest he's come.
Well, who was saying that Jake Goodwood Reich doesn't get forward, Piney? It's off the back of exactly what Steve Corica will be looking for. Scraps once the 09 gets up and occupies the defensive unit for the Mariners. And Jake Goodwood Reich looking to bend that one, a little reverse. Not far enough away from Redmayne, though.
Just one previous goal in his 52 A-League men's matches. It was for Sydney FC. Corner results. More defending to do for the Mariners. As Donaghy heads it away and then chases after the ball. Back in by Brook. De Vries looking to keep things going. In the area, Mai. Has it taken away from him by Donnell. And Mariners clear their lines. Chris Donnell, freshly arrived.
The Mariners have been shopping in the Australian Championship. Lavelle Donnell and Ali Algler picked off from Sydney Olympic and South Melbourne. Algler, of course, the Golden Boot winner of the inaugural Australian Championship. Great to see a pathway upwards into the A-League from the NPL.
Yeah, time at Western Sydney and the MacArthur Bulls as well. Hurled in by De Vries, flicked on by Pinnock at that time. And the big centre-back has remained forward and trying to wrap his foot around this one. Doesn't get the opportunity with Ali Ugla back defending. Another throw coming, though, for Francis De Vries, and perhaps a similar strategy with many men forward. No, instead they go short this time. Gygos wants it back from De Vries. Roux calmly. Still there, though, for Francis De Vries. Very tight area. Ugla and Roux. Now Mai. He's kept it in brilliantly. Pulls it back. Will look to Lachlan Brook. Man in the way for the Mariners, and they're scrambling, but they're scrambling effectively.
We haven't seen much of Guillermo Mai this season, hampered by injury, but starting to sparkle in these opening exchanges. A little introduction to A-League football there for Chris Donnell. Easily beaten by the number 10.
Pinnock rips it into Mai. Gygos loses his footing as he attempted a crossfield pass. Randall going to track back and keep it in. These two met in Gosford in round 8. Auckland FC 2-1 winners through Randall and Cosgrove. That match also memorable for a spectacular diving headed own goal from Callan Elliott.
Elliott didn't deserve that stray one, Piney. It was spectacular, though. possibly the pick of the goals that day.
The Mariners just letting Auckland FC have it in their own half. Meineke thought about that crossfield pass that is a bit of a trademark of his. Goodwood Reich slides it into Brook, nice ball. Brook controls it towards Cosgrove. The Goodwood Reich Brook combination there. That's something I guess we're going to see more and more with Goodwood Reich playing in that fullback role.
I think it's going to be inverted to allow Jesse Randall to stay wide. And instead of going to Randall that time, Brook is seeking Cosgrove. It's tight, but you trust Mai and Brook to find Cosgrove. And if the big number 9 can live on shoulders, it'll be very hard for the defenders to come back in once he's rolled them.
The dual 10s is interesting, Mai and Brook. How do they know which one goes into that pocket, Paul Eiffel? Because I presume a number 10's role is to find pockets of space. If there's 2 of them, is there less space?
Yeah, would have taken a bit of work in training, I would imagine, with Steve explaining exactly what he wants, but you've got 2 really intelligent footballers, so for the most part they'll be working off each other. It's a timing thing, you know. If he's in there for a couple of seconds, get out of there, vacate the space and let the next man go in. So look, I expect that to be something that's a work in progress, but as I said, 2 smart players, I think they'll get it pretty quickly.
And the other point, Pine, is that it's not a wholesale change. We know that Auckland do revert to a back 5 often to see out games, so this is a slight wrinkle, not tectonic by any means.
No Hiroki Sakai today. Hopefully he won't be out for as long as his previous stint in the recovery room through the hamstring. It just felt like a tweak last week that saw him come off, and maybe precautionary more than anything which is going to keep him out of the side for too long. DiPizio, good move into the penalty area for the Mariners. Well, DiPizio, well, we talked about him pre-game, or you two did, and as the ball's back in, and Michael Fowd got the sums right. A lot of energy around the first 10 minutes of the game. Chance now for Auckland FC to go again through Brook. Randall up with him. Cosgrove in the area, behind for a corner. James Donaghy with the important intervention. Cosgrove, Randall, Brook. It's been a good trio.
Too slow though, Piney. As they broke, look, Guillermo might needs to get his head up a lot quicker and find Brook. And then once Randall's made the overlap, this needs to be stood up to the back post.
Yeah, look, I think Brook can come inside a little bit quicker, a little bit earlier. It will give Jesse a better angle to be able to go in on goal. By the time it gets to him, they've managed to close the angle and stop the cross.
Space, but not conversion there.
Corner results. Francis de Vries in his 42nd straight A-League men's match for Auckland FC will deliver with the help of the winds, and it bounces up rather fortuitously, to be honest, into the hands of Andrew Redmayne. Double header for Mariners fans today. We'll come back to that in a moment, because here's Mai. He can set up Jesse Randall. Randall opens the scoring on a plate for him. And inside it, dozen minutes at Go Media, Jesse Randall, who has been prolific this season, scores his 5th goal. He joins Cosgrove on that number. They're chasing Brook on 6. But it's Randall on the score sheet, and Auckland 1 to the good.
They've looked dangerous. We've consistently commented about Lockie Brook, Sam Cosgrove and Jesse Randall in this first 10 minutes. They've been an avenue to goals. 10 goals in 7 games leading into this afternoon. Between those 3, make it 11 and 8. And Jesse Randall continues putting together portfolios of performances to remind Darren Baisley not only what he's about in the A-League, but also his intention around the World Cup. Not a bolter any longer, a known quantity. Jesse Randall on the score sheet again.
Well, Paul Eiffel, you spoke pre-game about Jesse Randall, and you said, yes, he's been good, but there's more to come. Well, there's a nice little line to add to his body of work.
Yeah, he'll be pleased with himself, Pioneer. I think there was 3 parts to that goal. I love the ball. The right-footed pass from Franny de Vries was unbelievable. Completely split open the defence, and then the wherewithal from Meyer to take a little touch and allow the defender to come in. He slides it into Jesse. What I liked with Jesse, didn't hit it first time. Realised he had a little bit of time, just got it out of his feet, and then lifts it above the despairing dive of Redmayne. It's a great start here.
First goal for Jesse Randall in 3 games. Last one he scored was here on New Year's Day in the 3-1 defeat to Newcastle. Back on the score sheet and up to 5. The Golden Boot race is intriguing in the A-League men's this season, isn't it? So many players in and around that. 5 goals, 6 goals. Jesse Randall joins the conversation. And Auckland FC into the lead. The 11th time they've opened the scoring this season. 7 wins, 2 draws and a loss in the previous 10. The Mariners have gone 1-0 down 10 times now. 6 losses, a draw, or 2 draws rather, and just the 1 win in the previous 9. It's mentioning the double-header for Mariners fans. Their women's side host Western Sydney and Gosford shortly after this game finishes. Win and they'll go top the Mariners women. We wish you all the best and thank you for tuning in. Mariners fans from the central coast of New South Wales. How will the Mariners respond? Gonna have to chase the game. Came from behind against MacArthur a week ago to take a share of the points. Let's have another look at the strike.
Guillermo Mai exactly where you want him to be. He's got space because of Sam Cosgrove. Attracts so much attention. And then it's a simple pass from a player of his quality. What about the calibre of finish? Paul Life will touch on it before. Cool, calm, collected, and in the back of the net before Andrew Redmayne could do anything.
Brooke just with a little knock on the ankle, doesn't seem too serious. It's Brad Tapp, Mariners skipper, ever present this season. Donnell. Moragas, early cross, too far ahead of Ollie Laval, and Ali Ugla not able to haul it in. Lucas Moragas, A-League game number 99. He's been good this season. A bright spot for the Mariners.
We talk about the Mariners going behind, but only 1 time in the last 8 games have they found themselves behind at the break. They do tend to fight back into games. The most likely way back into this 90 today is down the left-hand side. DiPizio's looked lively, and Lucas Moragas is such an assured figure now at A-League level. They've looked good in combination.
One stat I noticed, Paul, was that the Mariners have taken the fewest shots this season, but they're 4th in the league for percentage of shots to goal. So you just shoot more, wouldn't you? If your percentage of shots to goals is high, you just take as many as you could.
We've had this conversation
I'm
about
no
expected goals already.
Pioneer. I'm not Pythagoras, but I think it's pretty straightforward. And Warren Moon will be trying to get them to work on that weekly, I would imagine.
Cosgrove parry is harried by Redmayne. De Vries to recycle. Donaghy gets it away, still there for Auckland FC as it bounces around. Harrington stretches the neck muscles.
Speaking of triangles, there's a fairly decent one there between Guillermo Mai, Francis de Vries and Sam Cosgrove up top.
Elfie McElmont, typically robust with his challenges in midfield. That one drew the ire of the referee. Away with the pass from Peineke, cleaned up by Girdwood Reich. Michael Fouth with very little to do really in the first 17 minutes here. Gygos. There's that graphic with Auckland having faced the fewest shots this season. By contrast, the Mariners have faced the most. 231 compared to Auckland's 137. That's shots faced. Estrada typically tidying up in Auckland's engine room. Now looks to set an attack away in towards Mai, who's coming from the left wing. De Vries, sloppy from Ugla. Janelle tracking back, another corner results.
The backtracking Ugla finds himself in the shadow of Francis de Vries, and that's where Auckland are so dangerous. Have the ability to intercept, apply pressure, dislocate the ball from an opponent in that final third. Francis de Vries again looking quickly for Sam Cosgrove. He has been a lighthouse early on here for Auckland FC.
Auckland dominating as a rain shower sweeps across Go Media. Nothing for Michael Fountain to do just yet in this game. Auckland have had 3 shots at Andrew Redmayne, 1 successful from Jesse Randall. They'll look to cause more problems in a congested 6-yard area. It was aimed for Lachlan Brook, a set move which didn't quite come off. We'll have another go at it through De Vries. Randall. Dealt with by Harrington. Girdwood Wright going to scurry across under pressure from Laval. And Ollie Laval, the freshly arrived striker, with the tackle of a striker.
Getting input of Paul Eiffel for a first-hand account of this challenge. You can see what he's trying to do though, harass and hassle, but you can't get to the ball through the player.
So Jake Girdwood Wright will stay forward for another set-piece situation. De Vries and Randall looking to cook something up.
In terms of wind, Piney, it is blowing in favour of the left footer. It's going diagonally from right to left here.
That's what they do with De Vries. Crowded in there, calls for handball, and confident calls for handball as well. VAR Casey Rybelt will certainly be having a look.
Yes, but look at the reaction of the Auckland players. No one attempts to get on the ball. It's right there in front of them, bouncing in front of Andrew Redmayne as well. And Jake Girdwood Wright, happy to appeal, could have got a foot in and converted this into a 2-0 lead.
They may yet get that opportunity. There were very confident shouts for handball, as you say. Jacob, no Auckland player carried on. They might have been able to at least fashion an attempt on goal had they continued rather than appealing. We'll need play to stop before Casey Rybelt can give any advice to Adam Kersey. Well, Auckland FC have only been awarded 2 penalties this season. They were both in the derby and both were missed, although Francis de Vries did follow hers up and put it away. VAR has cleared that, no handball. We carry on. De Vries helps it in. Arriving was Lachlan Brook. Well, he doesn't score many with his head. Tipped around the post by Andrew Redmayne.
He's been tasked with being the marshal in charge of repelling Auckland. Andrew Redmayne using all of his experience and large frame to get this away. It's a lovely delivery in from Francis de Vries. A late run from Lockie Brook. Good contact. Oh, and I think that's squeezing into the bottom corner. Andrew Redmayne, important intervention.
It just feels like the Mariners are under the pump here, doesn't it? They're shaking a little bit on their foundations. More defending to do here. Another corner. Delivery into the 6-yard area. And Sam Cosgrove with the 0-9 on his back with a wayward header this time.
Well, here's the incident from before. As we said, the ball's helped by the breeze here at Auckland today. Comes in blusters. And I think that comes off the head before it hits the hand. So that's the mitigating factor. Perhaps that excuses the culpability. From that angle, looks far from comprehensive, though. It must be just the smallest of touches off the head of Diesel Harrington.
Well, it's the big hair, isn't it? It's the big hair that's helped him out.
Aye, for your sideline, you would have had a good look at the screen there. What did you make of that one?
Look, for me, it's a very, very close one. What I was annoyed about in the moment, though, was Pinecker and Girdwood Wright. Just put a toe on it. You're too busy with your hands in the air. Look, it's human nature to claim it. I've been in that position myself, but put it in the net and then worry about it afterwards.
Verstrata for the angled run of Randall, and shadowing him all the way, Lucas Moragas did a good job. Chance now perhaps for the Mariners to mount what would be a rare attack in the first quarter of this game. DiPizio brings Moragas in. Ali Ugla is all the way over this side, calling for the ball. Doesn't reach him. Pinecker in the road.
The Mariners are able to pin Girdwood Wright inside through DiPizio, and he drops off the line. Moragas goes the other way, and it's a long way for Jesse Randall to have to recover. The Mariners are exploiting the space down Auckland's right at the moment.
Long ball from Harrington. It's a good one too. Ollie Laval's it on goal. Getting across with Stan Hall, and now the flag goes up for offside. So Dan Hall wasn't to know that that flag was going to be raised. Good defensive challenge, but wouldn't have mattered.
Well, let's appreciate the timing and the pace of Dan Hall. He is Auckland's insurance policy at the back. Laval in behind Pinecker, and then he thinks he's in on goal. The number 23 appears at the last moment. What a fantastic block, even if the flag was eventually raised.
Long from foul. Cosgrove herring after it. Harrington in the way and blocks Cosgrove's passage. Redmayne in game number 290 in the A-League men's. He debuted as a 19-year-old for the Mariners in September 2008. He replaced Mark Bosnich, who went off injured that day. Here's Lockie Brook. Less favoured right foot, but still a decent strike.
A thumbs up from Lockie Brook. Felipe Gallegos that time feeding the number 77. Again, in the pocket between the midfield and defence. Space to exploit. Not on his favoured left foot, but confident. Speaks to the assists and the goals that he has got. Takes it on his right foot. Flashes over Andrew Redmayne's crossbar.
There have been a couple of games this season where Steve Corica has bemoaned the fact that his side wasn't able to score a second once they'd scored a first, and it's cost them points a couple of times, including last week when they were hauled in from 1-0 ahead to lose 2-1 to Melbourne City. There was a previous match that was drawn as well, where Steve Corica afterwards said, we have to be more ruthless, we have to score more goals. It was the MacArthur game where they were 1-0 ahead through Brook. He'll want that second one. He'll desperately want that second.
I think it's a criticism that's been levelled at the side internally and externally, is that they've looked good, but they haven't necessarily taken advantage of all the opportunities, not only within games, but also over the course of weekends. Last weekend, the Phoenix did Auckland FC a favour, beat Sydney, but Auckland couldn't take advantage of the opportunity to go even further ahead at the top of the table.
Can the Mariners get something going in midfield here? Donnell brings DiPizio in. It's all a bit messy and it's all broken down as Brook plays it forward. Now Cosgrove is almost certainly offside there, and yeah, the flag has gone up. So no attempts on goal yet for the Central Coast Mariners. 27 minutes gone. They have those soaked up the majority of Auckland FC's pressure without having yet fashioned anything themselves at the other end. Gallegos rips it out towards Girdwood Wright. Brook ahead of him. fascinating to see the heat maps afterwards of the likes of Brook and Mai and find out where they turned up most often on the pitch. Brook's in a inside right position at the moment. Randall combines with Brook. Cosgrove the only man in the area. Lucas Moragas going to prevent the cross for the meantime, and then James Donaghy helping out with Tap, making a bit of a meal of it, but eventually they win a corner. Donaghy thought that was a goal kick. He's almost certain that came off an Auckland FC player last.
Well, Jesse Randall and Lockie Brook combined last week for what was arguably Auckland's best goal of the season. That time, both players high and wide. What we're seeing here this afternoon is that Brook's being deployed inside Randall, and it's the combination and intuitive understanding between the two. They're so complementary. Work their way down the right and force the pressure, which results in this corner.
The 5th of the afternoon for Auckland FC. Once again, the troops assemble in and around the 6-yard area. De Vries, near post delivery, and Sam Cosgrove doing his best to flick that one on, and a wry smile from Sam Cosgrove. That didn't quite work out the way he was hoping.
Oh, I think the judgment's been impaired somewhat by the conditions. It is very blustery here in Auckland. We've seen hesitation from the goalkeepers, both Vowd and Redmayne, not sure whether to come for through passes at that time. Sam Cosgrove thought it was going to end up at hip height. Oh, and the nose takes a battering on the turf.
They'll be replaying that one, I would say, during the week, and making sure that Sam Cosgrove is in and around them when they do. They have a very close-knit team culture, which includes a lot of good-natured ribbing.
I fear that one might end up in Aberdeen and Manchester as well.
McElmont just about cut out that pass from Pyneke to Girdwood Reich. Patient Auckland build-up. Pyneke can't find Mai. DiPizio, what can he create down the left? Moragas joining in. DiPizio goes inside and draws the foul from Girdwood Reich. Pastrada in as well. So a set-piece situation for the Mariners.
There we see Miguel DiPizio. He's comfortable on either foot. Takes it on his left foot initially and then wriggles his way inside, but it's the run of Moragas that gives him enough time and space to continue in a 1v1 battle and results in this free kick.
So Moragas, McElmont are sizing it up. It's quite narrow in terms of getting across to either post. It's going to be McElmont who helps it in. De Vries maybe of assistance. Flick behind for what will be a goal kick from Brad Tapp, who renews his acquaintance with his former teammate Dan Hall.
Dan Hall gets underneath this one. Tapp gets on top of Hall and in front of Pyneke. Not enough to steer it towards Vowd's goal though.
Michael Vowd ever present. A suggestion perhaps that he may have been, at least in part, at fault for Melbourne City's winner a week ago. Faith in him though continues from Steve Corica. Ollie Sale still waits patiently for an Auckland FC debut.
Well, they're in good spirits before the game. The GKU, Vowd and Sale. Not fans of the weather though, Piney. The warm-up might have been delayed somewhat, just to make sure they missed one of these showers.
Pyneke is going to employ the long throw. Good elevation. Cosgrove comes. Moragas half away. Still there for Cosgrove. Trying to pull it back for Pastrada. The Mariners again clear their lines. The two 23s, Hall and Laval together. Ollie Laval scored against Auckland FC last season in the 4-2 win when he was in the colours of Western United. Mariners debut last weekend, 54 minutes off the bench. He hit the bar with a very good attempt. So Ollie Laval looking to open his Mariners account and his second outing for his new club. Peineke. Now De Vries slips it inside to Gygos, who comes back towards the heavy traffic. Gygos again. Field doesn't find its mark, but Gygos is going to get the ball given back to him. Brook rides a couple of challenges. Brings Hall in. In possession under pressure for Auckland FC as they look to probe the defensive setup of the Mariners.
Just have a look at where the game's being played at the moment. Auckland dominating through the centre of the park. The Mariners doing all they can to keep them in front, but there's so many willing runners for Auckland. Not only have we seen them revert to a back three in possession, but they're using a single pivot. They have used two in the past as part of a 4-2-3-1. Now even Verstraeta's been deployed higher. Just working the Mariners back and back.
De Vries now with an opportunity to cross it into Guillermo Mai. Look to pass it in. Harrington with a vital block. Still there for Auckland through Verstraeta. Mariners scramble it clear though. Guillermo Mai with a golden opportunity to double Auckland FC's lead.
It's a front five, sometimes even a front six that's been deployed by Corica, and it is stretching this back four of the Mariners. What's interesting there is that Storm Roux stepped out, trying to put pressure on Francis De Vries, and it opened up that channel. Here we see Guillermo Mai in the middle of three Mariners defenders. He's beautifully found by Francis De Vries. It is a delicious delivery, again, intelligent ball. The touch matches the delivery, but it is a fantastic block that denies Guillermo Mai.
From a striker's eyes, Paul, I thought Guillermo Mai, quick look up to the far post. Was that what he was aiming for?
I think so, mate. I think that's where you've got to miss. I think if it had probably beaten the keeper. It's an unbelievable block, by the way. But I think you saw Jesse Randall just coming into shot. I think Jesse would have been there just to tuck that in at the far post if it hadn't got in from Mai. So it was definitely the right decision, but a fantastic block in the meantime.
I think Harrington gets caught too deep there, Piney, but does well to step on the ball. As Dan Hall did down the other end, timed the block.
Go on, if you got nothing else.
Very well, denied Guillermo Mai any sort of additional danger. As a goalkeeper though, I feel I'm thinking about that top corner. If Mai puts his foot through it, the one thing in Redmayne's mind is to block, make sure he doesn't get beaten low, and that does mean that the Spiders could be in danger.
It remains 1-0 for the meantime. Vast majority of possession for the home side, over 2/3 of the ball, and they have it again now as they look to fashion another attack. Mai involved again. De Vries and now Brook, a clever shift of position, hangs it up for Cosgrove. Randall waiting at the back door.
Cosgrove might have been deceived by the win there.
Gygos slides it into Verstraeta and passed towards goal by Guillermo Mai, rather. Again, placement over power. Redmayne untroubled, though.
Well, that's what you get with dual 10s. Yes, you want them either side of Cosgrove to begin with, but then they've got freedom. Corica, rather, trusts them. It's a position he's obviously very familiar with, having played there. And this time they overload. It's a great touch in for Verstraeta. Continues up the top of the Alex Tobin medals, and that's a lovely example of why he is there. And then Guillermo Mai, perhaps just lacking a little bit of game time.
Yeah, it's been a long time between drinks for Guillermo Mai, but you could see his reaction as soon as he hit it. He knew he hadn't quite got it enough. Yeah, he wanted to borrow a little bit more and probably a little bit higher, but he's getting into nice positions. I actually think the touch from Verstraete was for himself. It looked brilliant. It looked brilliant, but I don't think it was actually for Mai. I think it was for himself, and then he realised that Mai was there, and he's tried to stroke it home.
Accountability by Eiffel.
Brook again in the pocket. Girdwood Reich going to join the attack with Randall outside. Verstraete helps it forward and puts a bit of backspin on it, hoping that it will hold up for Randall. How do the Mariners get back into, or get a foothold back in this game, Ivy? 70% possession now for Auckland FC.
Got to do something different. I think it's a case of probably for Moon get into half-time and make changes, whether that's personnel or it's tactical, but at the moment not much is sticking, not much is being allowed to go through the middle, and I think that's a big problem for them. They've got to try and get the likes of DiPizio on the ball. When he's had the ball, he's looked really dangerous, but he's not had the ball enough for me.
We're not really seeing much out of Donnell. Lavelle we've seen in moments, but Augla has been largely absent. If you look at the bench, Hayneems, Christian Theoharis, Sabat Noor, even Nathaniel Blair, there are options there for Warren Moon, and I would say that Will Kennedy as well put on a good display last time the Mariners travelled over this side of the Tasman. He was a player of note in that performance against Wellington.
Cosgrove called for the foul on Harrington. There is Warren Moon with some thinking to do. He's certainly got some artillery, as you say, in an attacking sense. Theoharis, Noor and Nathaniel Blair looking for a Mariners debut, having freshly arrived from Perth Glory. All waiting for their opportunity. The Mariners substitutes. Sabat Noor closest to camera there. A goal last week, 4 now this season for Sabat Noor. No doubt we'll see him at some stage. Tap. Moragas. Now, here's an opportunity as the sun comes out for the Mariners. They'll have a corner. Their first of the contest.
Assured play from Tap, found Moragas, and then as soon as the ball went wide left, look at the numbers that the Mariners got into the box. Every time Francis de Vries gets on the ball for Auckland, you see the same happening down the other end. This time, though, the Mariners trusting their left winger to get delivery into the box. If not, get a deflection and earn a corner.
They do have aerial threats. Harrington, Donaghy. McElmont delivers into that crowd. Away by Gyagos, who's one of the shorter men out there. And now Auckland FC can break. It's 4-on-1 here, and they're all onside. Guillermo Mai looking for an option. Palmed wide by Andrew Redmayne. Well, all of a sudden it was 4-on-1 at the back, and Andrew Redmayne palms it behind for a corner. Right option or not from Guillermo Mai?
Let's see how this develops. I'll tell you how it ends, and that's Guillermo Mai avoiding eye contact with any of the 3 runners inside. Brook, Cosgrove, Randall, all waiting, and the number 10 cuts in onto his left foot and can't beat Redmayne at that near post.
Half a dozen corners now for Auckland FC. A very familiar side of a crowded 6-yard box. More elevation on this one. Girdwood Reich is there. Not a back in by Peinecker. And again, the Mariners are going to be able to negotiate their way into this one, and they'll do so with a free kick. Girdwood Reich through on McElmont.
They'll vent some pressure for Warren Moon. Ivy, talk us through this.
I just think for me, Mai's got to make his mind up a little bit quicker. If he drives towards the sole defender, he has to make a decision. He'll either step in allowing Mai to go around him, or he'll step in and offer an angle somewhere. I don't think the 2 runners did enough as well to help Mai. There wasn't really too much movement. They were waiting for him to do something. He didn't do it, so one of them had to step up and make that move. It was a bit of a mess in the end, and I think Mai just went, well, I'm just going to get my shot off.
Let's also credit Storm Roux there. You get told in that situation, delay, delay, destroy. He wasn't affected by anxiety. He just waited for Guillermo Mai to make up his mind. By the time he had, it was too late.
Well, for all the possession and the weight of chances Auckland FC have had, with 2.5 minutes by stoppages until half-time, still just the slender 1-goal advantage. Donnell looking to bring Roux in. What a blow it'd be if the Mariners could square the ledger before half-time. Instead, Estrada stepping in. The charge is on again. Brook, Cosgrove, Randall, De Vries arriving. Randall pulls it back. Cosgrove, good block by Harrington again. He's done good work. Diesel Harrington at the back today for the Mariners. And here come the Mariners. DiPizio. Laval. Ollie Laval! Can you believe it? With less than a third of possession in the first half, Ollie Laval has squared the ledger with 90 seconds to go in the first half. Steve Corica likely to be apoplectic on the bench. Val beaten. Laval scores his first goal for his new club, and we're one apiece.
An investigation is going to be launched into how Auckland haven't doubled the lead before this. But let's credit the Mariners. They have been so lively down this left-hand side, driven by Miguel DiPizio. Augla this time makes a run from right to left. He allows Ollie Laval to get the space, the one-on-one up against Nando Painika. And it is a ball right into the stride of the number 23 by the danger man, Miguel DiPizio. And from there, it is a crisp finish. Vout could do nothing. Painika left stranded, and the ball eventually goes through his legs before nestling in the back of the net.
It's the last touch for me, Spoons. It's the last touch. He stands it up. He takes that little touch, meaning that Painika has to bite. Opens the legs just enough to hit it through, and he uses his body to make sure that Veld can't see it. It's a fantastic finish.
He joined from South Melbourne, the 20-year-old striker, as mentioned the last 2 seasons with Western United, a couple of goals in 13 games, including that strike against Auckland FC. So in back-to-back matches against this opposition, Ollie Laval has found the back of the net, and the half-time conversations now will be intriguing.
2 examples of where Auckland had numbers. The counter-attack from deep that's shaken off the dust of the Mariners' defence, but the last run, they didn't drive at that last defender to draw him out. They waited. The Mariners waited too. They survived, and now they find themselves level.
Can Auckland FC bite back before half-time? Randall just loses his footing, and again, and Lucas Moragas brings it away. We're into added time, of which there will be just a solitary minute minimum. Very little in the way of stoppages in this first half. Or Steve Corica, he probably cannot believe it. Auckland FC have had some very, very good opportunities to extend their lead. Instead, the Mariners, in one of their infrequent attacks just before half-time, square it up, and that is half-time here at Go Media Stadium. Adam Kersey brings first half proceedings to the close. Jesse Randall with the opening goal for Auckland FC. Lockie Brook frustrated. Ollie Laval, his first Mariners goal in the shadows of half-time, have given us that half-time score. Auckland FC 1, the Central Coast Mariners 1.
Sweet. Rob, just confirming that we've got the 2 misses in there, because I think that's what Ify can talk to really well, is that Auckland should have scored those 2 goals. Okay, sweet. Thank you. Yeah. Off the back of that, mate. Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah.
Pokemon all, welcome back to Go Media Stadium, and that is the look of some shell-shocked Auckland fans after the Central Coast Mariners managed to come back into this half and level things up at half-time 1-1. Here are your stats halfway through this match. Jacob Spoonley, Paul Eiffel. I'm just going to ask the obvious, what stands out to you here?
The left-hand side, Kim, is what stands out to me. Comprehensive by Auckland. You compare that to the Mariners, it doubles or triples what they've been able to do in terms of output. Auckland, you could argue, should be 4, maybe even 5-0 up. But the Mariners have survived.
With 7 minutes to go in the broadcast, I was saying Warren Moon needs to get them in at half-time, make changes. He will be over the moon, no pun intended.
Oh, no.
To get in at 1-1.
I'm out.
He won't be able to believe it. Can't believe it.
How am I meant to concentrate when you're sitting here making puns like that?
By the way, just quickly, a lot of the fans are up here in the stand today, and a lot of the fans have recognised Ify. Not many have recognised me, Kim. It's been very humbling.
This is not the chat we are bringing to the halftime show, Spoons, but it's good that you're being humbled. Taking things seriously, though, when you look at Central Coast, you say that they have survived. How? How on earth have they been surviving?
Really, really simply, the flip side of the coin is that Auckland haven't been taking their chances.
Yep. I think you've got to give him a bit of credit. I thought Diesel Harrington has made a couple of unbelievable blocks. There's one that we'll probably see in a minute. Did it hit his hair? I used to have the similar hair, so I should know. Did it hit his hand? It definitely hit his hand. Was it hair first? But I think he's been absolutely brilliant and has probably got them in at half-time 1-1. On the flip side of that, Spoon has already alluded to it, the chance is missed. Steve Corica will be in there and they will be getting a bit of a dressing down, I'm sure.
I am so glad that I'm not in there right now. We will talk about that potential handball moment a little bit later on. But first of all, let's have a look at how Auckland managed to open proceedings. And you have to say that this is probably what the crowd came here expecting. Number 1v11 and just 12 minutes into proceedings. Hello, Jesse Randall.
Jesse Randall grabbed the headlines, yes, but this is built on what Auckland is so good at doing. Pressuring sides to play into exactly where they want them to be, often into the middle of the park, recycle, and then it gets into Randall so quickly. Look at the retreating defenders. No one can get near him, I think.
Because it was played so quickly, the pass into Mai from De Vries was sensational. That built the goal. Mai's able to turn, sort of half turn, and then he plays it just at the right weight. Jesse, so cool, calm, composed, takes a touch and then just lifts it over the goalkeeper. So really, really well worked goal. And I think we all expected for Auckland to go on from there and put the game to bed.
Yeah, it gave every vibe, didn't it, of we are on here. However, Central Coast, they managed to hold out. And then late in the first half, this happened. Talk us through it, Ify.
Yeah, look, it's a really good ball down the side. I thought there was a hint of offside, clearly not, it wasn't given. Holds the ball up really well, and then DiPizio, he's waiting, it's a great ball. It looks like not too much danger here, but it's the last touch. Laval, he just makes the defender have to make a decision. Slides in, legs just apart, which it covers Val, so he can't see anything. He can't dive until the ball's gone past him. That's why the balls end up in the back of the net.
For young defenders there, what makes it so difficult, or young attackers rather, is that Laval shifts it to the side. He makes Painaka move, and from there there's a gap to exploit. The second thing that I'll talk about there, Ify, Miguel DiPizio is the architect, but the two implementers are players that have just joined the Mariners, Augla and Laval. We talked about the infusing of energy, but they've also created impact.
Yeah, fresh blood is something that we have talked about, the impact that they can have. Fearless almost coming here to Auckland and levelling things up late in the half. But what could have been, and I want to get your definitive takes, each of you, on this as our resident experts. We're not sitting on fences here. This was the moment when we thought, or the crowd thought, that there was...
Ify, take us through this. What should Mai be doing here?
I think his first touch is okay. Touch 2 and touch 3, he doesn't come in enough. If he starts driving in, the sole defender needs to make a decision. He should have changed his own angle as he's come inside. He can now play somebody to the right or to the left. Because he doesn't move the defender, it looks like the defender's done a magnificent job, but I think Mai has actually helped him in doing his own job here.
All Stormaroo is wanting to do there is delay. And Mai doesn't shift them. So Stormaroo waits, Mai doesn't make up his mind, and then the chance is gone.
Now we'll get to the moment that I wanted your definitive take on. I skipped ahead of the program, you know.
Slow this down for us. Please slow this down for us. I can't see the touch off Diesel Harrington. VAR has had a look at it.
You mean the touch off his head?
But I cannot see if that skims his forehead, and if it does, it's got to be fractional at the very, very best.
Look, I think VAR have got to make sure they've got it right. They've got more angles than we get to see, maybe, and they've obviously cleared it. It was very, very close. A penalty at that stage obviously completely changes the game.
Given these little moments that they're then going against Auckland, the late Laval goal and that late in that first half, is the psychological advantage now with Central Coast?
Yes, they don't have expectations. They're 11th. Auckland are first. Auckland will feel the pressure of not only the crowd, but also the expectations they now have.
Well, let's see what our friends at Betcha have to say. Let's go to Ricardo Ball.
Yeah, 1-1 at half-time, of course, but the market still thinks Auckland FC are the favourites. They're paying $1.63 to win this, $3.10 the draw. Central Coast, $6.50. Next team to score, I like. Auckland FC, I think Rocket Labs will be wanting to hire Steve Corica after this because he'll be giving them one in the half-time dressing room. $1.53 Auckland FC to score next. So what about Guillermo Mai? 3 shots in this half, probably feels he owes his team one. $3.40 for him to score any time. Those are your odds for the weekend and for this game. Download the Bet Trap. Bet responsibly. Back to you guys.
Thanks very much, Rick. Yes, it is all on here at Go Media Stadium. 1-1 the scoreline. Would you believe it? These Port fans certainly can't at this stage. So, what is coming your way in the second half? Stick around. It's all coming up here on Sky Sport.
with just their second shot on target of the entire half. The Central Coast Mariners square things up at one apiece. Michael found flat-footed, leaden-footed, couldn't do anything about it. Nando Painika with a desperate attempt to block the shot from Ollie Laval, but into the back of the net it flew. And with just 32% possession in the first half, the Central Coast Mariners find themselves level at the break against the league leaders. Jesse Randall with his 5th goal of the season. Opening proceedings, the half-time conversations. Are those ears burning from the spray from Steve Coracle, or is it likely to have been a bit more controlled?
I'm not sure how Coracle would react there, because the team's clearly creating the chances. So do you want to encourage that and acknowledge that you can go ahead again in the second half, or do you want to bemoan the lack of conversion? Again, the lack of conversion to take advantage of the opportunities in game. But what I will do, Piney, is I'll give you credit. The Mariners, the team that have converted the least amount of shots in the competition into goals. Efficiency again by Warren Moon's side.
What does the second half hold? We're about to find out. Underway in the second period, Auckland FC in blue and black and in the sunshine now. Attacking the goal to right of screen. The Mariners all in yellow, our visitors. Kicking from right to left in the second period. All of the chances created by Auckland, all of the attacking impetus. And what have we seen here?
Just a nibble at the heels, which has been punished as Auckland had to turn back to their own goal.
Free kick quickly taken, so no changes for either side to start the second half. The same 11's back out there. I guess the longer things go, particularly from Auckland FC's point of view at 1-1, the more motivation and temptation there might be for Steve Corican to freshen things up and attack. Cosgrove flicks on, Randall after it. Back to Redmayne, who's untroubled. Logan Rogerson is in reserve. Ali Francois, Jonty Bidwar also. All in towards Redmayne, who elects to punch with no one really around him. I wonder whether that came out of the sun, and Andrew Redmayne had a bit of trouble tracking its flight.
Right on the goalkeeper is where it changes from shadow into the light. So I suspect you are correct, but a lovely little run. Jesse Randall snuck back onside before he fizzed that one across the 6-yard box.
Another chance for Randall to get involved now, as Auckland FC have come out with good intent. Triple header in the A-League men's today. Auckland FC and the Mariners to kick us off. Randall cuts inside, trying to get the shot away, and deflection, was it? No, goal kick. So we're off to Suncorp Stadium next. Now, Jesse Randall is absolutely adamant that's a corner. and I think he's convinced Adam Kersey.
I think Adam Kersey got a signal from his assistant. Oh, not much of a deflection.
So Brisbane Roar, Adelaide to follow, then MacArthur against Melbourne City at Campbelltown. That's said to be a cracker. 4 plays 7, but the table's so tight that Adelaide United could jump into the top 3. Then MacArthur against Melbourne City, 2 other teams in and around mid-table. Randall takes the corner. Cosgrove, players shielding their eyes from the sun, and Donnell gets it away. Just to complete round 14, Western Sydney, Perth Glory tomorrow, and then on Australia Day, Monday, Melbourne Victory and Sydney FC, the Big Blue, the latest edition at Amy Park. Every game seems to have so much intrigue with the table so tight. It's exactly what you want from a competition. Here's Lachlan Brook, faced by 2 defenders. Girdwood Reich helping out. Brook, clever feet, good ball to Vestrada. Across the 6-yard area was the intent. And DiPizio just clears the Mariners' lines. Well, the game has settled into a very familiar pattern. of Auckland possession and Mariners resistance.
More responsibility now rests on the shoulders of Guillermo Mai and Lockie Brook. They've been deployed centrally, so both of them want to play. Now, can they break open the two yellow banks of four that'll be buoyed by that goal? Resistance refueled at halftime.
Michael Vout out of his area and clears the lines, and in fact it turns into a pretty good pass for Randall. I'm pretty sure wasn't expecting it, but...
Well, Michael Vout has a range in those boots, allows Auckland to go north to south very quickly here at Go Media. Jesse Randall reacted well, but it just skidded away from him, unfortunately, for Steve Corica.
Verstraete and McElmont, that's been a battle within the battle today, and Verstraete wins the latest instalment. Auckland FC want to get going quickly. Bright sunshine on that side of the ground now with Mai. Over in the shade, Girdwood Reich. Patient, probing Auckland FC. Brook. Mai on an angled run. Guillermo Mai in the area. Moragas read the intent. And while Mai went down in the area, no real serious claims for a foul. Lachlan Brook, we know about his left foot. That one off target.
A hand of apology there for Lockie Brook. That time Auckland ground Central Coast down. Guillermo Mai again popping up in these sort of positions. A nibble from James Donaghy. Not enough though, as Guillermo Mai looked to evade the centre-back. I talked about the bench of Central Coast Mariners. That was when they were a goal down. Now level, and we've seen Hayne Eames and Sabit Noor warming up, being prepared to be introduced.
McElmont. First chance in the second half for the Mariners to attack. DiPizio is always off balance a little bit and leaning back. Miguel DiPizio looking to add to his 4 A-League men's goals.
Oh, that time I think Ed Sheeran becomes the 5th defender for Auckland. DiPizio's standing leg goes out from underneath him as he crosses the seam between the turf and the relay turf here at Go Media.
Given away by Brook to DiPizio, but Brook is back and has help from Girdwood Reich, but the Mariners have done well there. Tap. Moragas. Uglar's there. Arriving Roo. Well, Storm Roo, only 8 goals and 282 A-League men's matches, the Kiwi.
His reaction tells you all you need to know. I don't think this is far away at all. It's well worked by the collective Mariners, and then it's the individual Storm Roo looking to trivela that one outside of the right foot, hunting Michael Vout's top right corner. Let's have another look at this. This is Paul Eiffel-esque. Oh, it is not far away, Ifey.
It's a great strike. It's a really, really good effort. I think Lockie Brook giving the ball away down the left-hand side here. Poor area to try a trick. And probably Auckland have got away with one there.
Well, Storm Roo hasn't scored for 56 A-League men's matches. He is a fullback, let's be fair. But it would have been a rare strike, and he would have loved it too on home soil for the All Whites. Fullback Darren Baisley, no doubt, watching the likes of Randall, Peinecker, Roo, Rogerson when he makes his way on, and others.
Good representation of the Tri-Nations there, Storm Roo, of South African heritage. Spent time on the North Shore, which qualifies them for the All Whites, and Perth and Central Coast by way of Melbourne.
De Vries, his shot is blocked. And the Mariners just continue to soak up pressure. Steve Corica up on the edge of his technical area as Laval is the recipient of the latest challenge. Well, he won't be anywhere close to panicking yet, Steve Corica, but as the game ticks on and the scores remain level. You wonder what goes on or will go on inside his head.
There's a sense of pressure on this Auckland side at the moment. Frustration. There's not a rhythm that we saw in the first half, as Ify alluded to, almost punished by an errant touch, a misjudgment by Lockie Brook before. In contrast, the Mariners look like they're reveling in this, taking their time, winning fouls, enjoying themselves, and then creating when they do get a sniff of the ball.
Here's Lockie Brook. Gygos loses out to a robust challenge from Rue, but it's given away to his All Whites teammate De Vries. Near post delivery. Harrington got his feet in the right place to clear. Well, Auckland FC have 3 of the top 6 players in terms of shots attempted this season. Randall, Brook, Cosgrove. It seems like we talk about that trio all the time, so they're not shy of letting fly. Just for context, the Mariners' best is Miguel DiPizio. He's 20th by that metric. Randall, Brook and Cosgrove, 1st, 2nd and 6th in terms of shots taken. DiPizio again on the shoulder of Girdwood. Reich, he's going to nip in across the 6-yard area. Ugla and Laval arriving. Sloppy from Girdwood. Reich in an unfamiliar position for him.
Well, the yell you heard was Steve Corica, and he is unhappy with his back line. Dan Hall backs off. Jake Girdwood gets caught out. And again, it is Miguel DiPizio that is lurking on the verge of that final third. This isn't a shot. He's trying to drive it across to find Laval or Augla. And they, unfortunately, for Warren Moon, were a yard off.
Shots a lot more even in the second half, which is 11 minutes old now. Both sets of substitutes warming up. Warren Moon watching on from his technical area as well. Brook in the pocket of space again. Important sliding challenge from Donnell. Moragas heads off down the left. One of those trademark marauding runs. McElmont looking for Donnell, but Mai was there instead. Auckland FC look to get going again on the front foot. Randall. Brook off on a run. Really, really good tackle. But again, given away by tap, was it? No, Donnell. Gygos thought about the shot. Brings De Vries in. He hangs it up. Cosgrove! He feeds off that sort of delivery, Sam Cosgrove. Meat and drink for a striker of his quality. He goes joint top of the Golden Boot standings with a 6th goal of the season. And Auckland's 1-goal advantage is restored.
Well, there's a reason why the cavalry is only arriving now to celebrate with Sam Cosgrove, and that is because the majority of Auckland headed towards Francis De Vries. It is the route to goal. It is a profitable one. Felipe Gygos has to roll it into the feet of the left back, and from there, it is all about giving this ball enough height so that Sam Cosgrove can go 1v1 up against James Donaghy. And in that situation, with Cosgrove posting up at the back stick, it's enough time. He gets power to get it beyond Andrew Redmayne. And Auckland, at an amble, it's got to be said, find themselves in front through De Vries and Cosgrove in combination.
Well, if Sam Cosgrove could order a cross, he'd order something like that, wouldn't he, Paul?
He actually did. If you watch the footage back, you might be able to see it, but he literally points to Franny. It's a little point to Franny, just put it in the area, and he's saying, beat that guy, and I'll do the rest. And it's a fantastic cross. rises, heads it where it needs to be, back across, keeper no chance.
So the Mariners will have to come from behind again to take anything away from Auckland. They did it last time. They were 1-0 down last time and 2-1 down, came away with a 2-2 draw, so this game is following a familiar pattern in that regard. Sam Cosgrove joins teammate Lachlan Brook and Max Caputo and Lachlan Rose on 6 goals. Here it is again.
It's a lovely angle, and it shows you the height that Francis de Vries gets, and that's very intentional. Sam Cosgrove loves starting central, but then he'll drift, post up on that back stick, and what he wants is a ball with height like that so he can feast, and he does that time. As you said, Ify, he had ordered it, and Francis de Vries delivered. Unfortunately for the Mariners, we got a flash of a stat that suggests that the trend that is against them is that they are the side that has scored the least in the second half. Only 5 goals so far this season for Warren Moon's Mariners.
And as we go towards the hour mark, just twice have they scored after the 60-minute mark this season. Nicholas Duarte's 98th minute winner in round 1 against the Jets, and Sabat Nyor last week, the equaliser against MacArthur. So beyond the hour mark, which we now are, just the 2 goals this season.
And the bench in the background there, well, that's Auckland's one, but the Mariners is busy. Instructions being delivered, and I suspect it's Sabat Nyor and Hayne Eames that are going to be introduced. I think there's hesitation on the bench by Warren Moon. He wasn't sure whether or not it was to bring those substitutes on about 10 minutes ago. We're going to see them now.
I think we're going to see a Mariners debut for Nathaniel Blair. Sabat Nyor definitely going to enter the fray, but the freshly arrived 21-year-old striker Nathaniel Blair looks like he'll get a Mariners debut as well, with Sabat Nyor the other player to be introduced, and those changes can now be made.
Well, it's Miguel Di Pizio that's making way for Sabat Nyor to come on. That's really interesting, because I think Di Pizio's been the liveliest of the Mariners, creating a supply line into the front too. But Warren Moon clearly favouring the athleticism of Lavelle and Algler, and now introducing Sabat Nyor. Well, actually, it's Algler making way now. So after a bit of to-ing and fro-ing on the sideline, we finally get Blair and Nyor onto the field.
There he is, Nathaniel Blair, 21-year-old, joined from Perth Glory in the recent window. Arrived from the Under-23 Asia Cup with the Socceroos, or the Olyroos rather, where he featured in all 4 matches. A debut for Nathaniel Blair, and Sabat Nyor into the action for his 23rd A-League appearance. Rue cuts it out at the near post, and Nell helps it away. So just confirming that Ollie Lavelle is still out there. We were given some information that he would be the one replaced. Instead, Ugla and Di Pizio are the 2 who have made way. No movement yet from Steve Corica in terms of substitutes. Estrada sets off down the right-hand side, shaped across and then carried on, and Andrew Redmayne tracks the flight of that ball and stays in on the far side for De Vries to gather. Lovely ball into the path of Cosgrove, if he can control. Goes down in the area, and Adam Kersey had a really good look at that and said no, nothing wrong with it. I think most would agree once we have another look at it. McElmont and Pinecker, the big centre back, clears it up the line. It's stayed in, is it? No, it's gone out and come back in again, so a throw the way of the Mariners.
It's a great little ball from Franny. No, there's definitely no there. He's tried to. I think he's tried to buy one there.
He's initiated
looking
the contact.
forlornly at the referee, but definitely not enough contact there at all.
Cosgrove stuck that left leg out, perhaps trying to get across the defender there, but dangled it to ensure there was contact of his own making, though. Good call from Kersey.
Roux with the long throw. Flicked on by Donaghy. McElmont's there. Hall wins it over the top of him. Randall sets off, but can't bring the ball with him. Tap picks it up, but given away to Vestrada. Now Randall might have a chance to use that pace of his. Donaghy trying his best to get back. And Laval helping out too, although he's given it away to Brook. Gygos, reverse pass almost into the path of Mai. The Mariners were patient. Had a goal down in the first half. Are we willing to be the same again in the second? I'm sure. Girdwood Reich. Brook. Estrada for Girdwood Reich. Looking for the return pass to Lachlan Brook, and again the Mariners will do enough to negotiate their way out of it. Steve Corica will absolutely want the security and the buffer of a third goal. Gygos, quick look up. Gets it back from De Vries. Nathaniel Blair, energetic since his introduction. Brook with that little turn. Randall and Brook again. Curling shot from Lachlan Brook. Right into the breadbasket of Andrew Redmayne.
Stating the obvious, but the goal really has shifted things here. Auckland are now playing with an assurance that was absent after half-time. And Lachie Brook, you can see what he's trying to do there, but Andrew Redmayne, aided by deflection, takes the pace off that shot from range.
Now it's a bit of push and shove down here involving Lachlan Brook and James Donaghy. Another game of it, and good refereeing just to let the two of them sort it out amongst themselves and carry on, I think. Sabat Newell desperate to get down the other end. For the moment, though, he's going to have to join in the defensive effort. Estrada. That was his first yellow card of the contest coming, and James Donaghy is its recipient. Second yellow card of the season for the 200-game veteran.
Blue Estrada, looming presence in midfield. Again, live to where the ball's going to drop, recycles it well. Draws the foul from James Donaghy. Done well to not have any yellow cards for the first 70-odd minutes.
Auckland FC looking to be dangerous and profitable from a free kick again. De Vries and Randall. Randall is going to leave it for his skipper, Francis De Vries, but then gets the pass from him. Helps it into the 6-yard area. Set move off the training ground, didn't quite come to fruition.
Could see what Auckland were trying to do there, but Lachie Brook rather got in the way of things and disrupted the rhythm between De Vries and Randall.
I'll be watching on across the Tasman. The Newcastle Jets, after their 4-1 win over the Phoenix last night, move level on points with Auckland FC and just a goal behind on goal difference win here for Auckland if it stays like this will take them 3 points clear and 5 clear of Sydney, but they have 2 games in hand, including their big blue on Australia Day. Randall, once again across the 6-yard area. Estrada. Ball into the path of Randall. Pulls it back. Donaghy in the way.
Well, 2 examples there of the need for a near-post run. And between the 3 of them, Cosgrove, Brook and Mai have to get on the back end of that. They have to be proactive in their movement because that's 2 good deliveries from Jesse Randall.
Brook more and more involved. Seems like everything's going through him at the moment. Once again, they'll go out left. De Vries sees no way forward. Mai trying to free up Gygos, and Sabat-Njor now with an opportunity to get forward. He's got McCalmont in the centre forward position. Blair is up as well. Sabat-Njor with the quick feet, and he earns a corner.
He's a dynamic runner, but an intelligent one at that. His movement has already created goals, 2 in the last 3 for Warren Moon. Sabat-Njor that time drifted out wide right, looked up and saw imposing trio of Painaka, De Vries and Felipe Gallegos.
Just love the way he plays the game. Something always seems to happen when he's in and around play. A corner this time, drilled in. Cosgrove gets it away. Lockie Brook and a set-off down the right-hand side. Bit short on Friends at the moment. Hearing up on the left is Guillermo Mai. He pushes it into his path. Randall is the furthest forward. Cosgrove now arriving. Urged to shoot. It's the stanchion or the pole holding up the net behind the goal, just wide from Cosgrove.
Well, Cosgrove goes close, but this is built on the fact that James Donaghy is already on a yellow card. He can't foul the Auckland players. They break forward here, and it ends up at the feet of Guillermo Mai, who lays it back into Sam Cosgrove with a late run. And Andrew Redmayne at full stretch, comfortable in the end. His experienced custodian ushers that one right of his goal.
Feels like that would have been the first goal Sam Cosgrove had scored from distance this year. Most of his strikes have been from inside the penalty area. Showing his versatility there with the shot from outside the penalty area. Still no movement on Auckland FC's bench as we enter the final 20 minutes. Next assignment for Auckland FC, they travel away to Perth Glory a week tonight. The Mariners host Melbourne Victory next Sunday. There you go, late night for Auckland FC fans to finish January, just before midnight. Kick-off against Perth Glory next Saturday. Following that, it's back-to-back matches against Sydney FC and then Derby number 3. So very intriguing part of the season coming up for the Black Knights.
We talked about it being a difficult January, and that's been played out in Auckland, winning only 1 of the 4 matches before this one. But February arguably is a step up. As you say, potentially 2 top-of-the-table clashes and then a derby. A lot of demand on Auckland in February.
We'll have it all for you here on Sky Sport. You won't miss a minute. De Vries lifts it in towards Brook. He and Randall sort of jog over towards this side. Brook at walking pace, but still with plenty of tricks in the locker, although that one's defeated the sideline. And that'll be an opportunity for the Mariners to make another change. So Nathan Paul and Christian Theoharis. There's Nathan Paul, just back from under-23 duty in the Asian Cup, and Christian Theoharis, a special milestone for him, A-League game number 100 this afternoon for Christian Theoharis. 19 for Melbourne Victory, 4 for Western United. This is game number 77 for the Mariners, a centurion. And Nathan Paul, who, as I mentioned, played every minute of Australia's 4 matches at the under-23 Asian Cup this month, back in his club colours now. Foul on Vestrada by McKelmont. I'm interested in your thoughts, guys, on when Auckland FC look to close this out, given what happened in the first half, given what's happened in previous games. At what point do they look at a closer?
Well, the catalyst for the closer and how Auckland shift into keeping what they have was Tommy Smith. I think they've missed Tommy Smith's leadership at times, especially with Hiroki Sakai's injuries this year, but it was a way for Melbourne City to get back into the game last week. Auckland made their changes, and I'd argue that that invited Melbourne City on. What I'd like to see here from Auckland is that they step on, they continue what they're doing, and they look for another goal. So stay with the formation as is and stay with the personnel for the next wee while.
De Vries with another run down that left-hand side. No end product, no, and now Pinocchio's going to have to get back and deal with this one. Nathaniel Blair appealed for handball. Adam Kersey saw nothing untoward. Into the final 15 minutes and still no subs for Auckland FC. I can't remember them going this deep without making a change or changes to the starting 11.
I also think that in the last couple of weeks there have been a lot of changes made in this period, and Auckland's shape has tended to deteriorate because of that.
Great pass from Vestrada to De Vries. Samit Nyor back defending. It's there for Mai. Gets his bearings and brings Gyagos in. And then a foul on the edge of the area by Felipe Gyagos. Nyor draws the foul from De Vries. I don't know, guys, it's just got a familiar look about it, doesn't it? Last season, as I say, the Mariners coming back twice from a goal down to take a share of the points. First half here, very little in the way of clear-cut chances, and yet they found the net. Gee, I think Steve Corica would just about implode if the Mariners brought this back to 2-2.
Well, no Nicholas Duarte, who scored the equaliser on the 90-minute mark for the Mariners here today, but Christian Theoharis, who did play a very influential role for the Mariners that day, has only recently been introduced.
Here they come through Roux. Nyor. Helped into the area. Michael Vout saw it coming and over the top of Ollie Laval, who has the Mariners' goal today. He was always favourite.
You can hear Steve Corica there, demanding that his players get out. No one was really helping Michael Vout out, who was intent on playing from deep, wanting to keep the ball, but the midfield compressed onto the back line, and not much urgency shown there by Auckland in transition.
Here come the Mariners again with Roux. Nyor, faced by De Vries. Clever feet from Samit Nyor, and he's won another corner.
Well, Auckland came out after half-time, cutting a frustrated figure. They scored, they've had the control of the game since, going ahead again, but now the Mariners just been invited back into the contest. Samit Nyor down the right-hand side, producing enough to earn his side a couple of corners.
Latest one is taken towards the back post, and Vout came to claim, and then he sets Jesse Randall away. All by himself at the moment, Jesse Randall looking for support. Might not need it. Redmayne beats it away. As we're watching this, Jake Brimmer is being ready for action, but Jesse Randall with another shot and Redmayne the equal of it.
Two decisive pieces of play. Michael Vout called Sam Cosgrove off, and then Jesse Randall ran the Mariners deep, realised he didn't have anyone. Coming in the form of the cavalry, decided to take the shot on and forced a good save from Andrew Redmayne.
19th shot on target. As you can see there, for Jesse Randall this season, no one has more. Jake Brimmer, bottom of screen in 22, awaiting the next stoppage so that he can make his entrance. He'll watch on as Randall comes forward. Kizumo Mai's going to be the man replaced, but will he have a final say? Well, Mike Brook, palmed away by Redmayne. Kizumo Mai across a completely unpopulated 6-yard area. And flag up. We can all calm down a bit, including me.
Well, Andrew Redmayne apologises, but I think he's done well to scramble here. He would have liked to have kept control of the ball, but Auckland, through Randall, Brook and Mai, did enough to get 2 bites of the cherry, and Kizumo Mai that time just not enough angle to work with, even if the flag did eventually go up. And it's Kizumo Mai that exits for Jake Brimmer.
Well, Kizumo Mai had a rather controversial incident down that end, and there was conjecture about whether a ball had gone in or stayed out in the game against Melbourne Victory back in last season. I think they're still arguing about it. No argument in that one, though, and Mai takes his leave, Jake Brimmer, into the action for the final 10 minutes.
Put that stick down, leave that bear alone, Jason Fine.
And nice ovation for Kizumo Mai. Estrada drives forward, as we've come to expect from the Belgian midfielder. First chance for Jake Brimmer to get a few touches of the football.
At some point we should probably go to the only licensed coach that we've got in commentary today to get his thoughts about how you navigate this last 10 minutes. Do Auckland stick to what they've got, or do they look to change things and, as you say, go to not necessarily plan B, but part of the plan over the 90 minutes and look to close this result out?
I think Steve Coric has already done that, to be honest, by bringing Brimmer on, getting an extra body that can do almost a box-to-box job. He'll go and join in when the time is right. If he needs to sit back in front of the back four and make a 3 in front of that back four, then he'll do that as well. And I think that's a smart sub. Look for him potentially to go to the bench again. The likes of Brook and Randall are going to run out of legs. Maybe it's a Rogerson just to see the game out. Maybe it's a Francois.
Well, he brings 195 games of A-League experience, Jake Brimmer. Meantime, Randall still probing the right-hand side. Hangs it up at the far post, and Brimmer is closest to it. Nua and Brimmer with the foul on Sabbath Nua. It's been 27 games since Jake Brimmer scored, and his last goal was against the Mariners, round 10 of last season. Not necessarily renowned as a goal scorer, but it's been a while.
What he will do as well is sit in that pocket, and it might not be the legs of Jesse Randall and Lachlan Brook that'll stretch the Mariners, but there's definitely going to be space as the Mariners need to hunt an equaliser. But if you've got the likes of Logan Rogerson on, perhaps he gets introduced in order to try and counter-attack and make hay off the passing range of Jake Brimmer.
Foul this time on Brimmer from Storm Roo, who immediately apologises. It's been a physical, robust game, but not too many fouls, just the one yellow card for Donaghy so far.
Jake Brimmer, adept, just moving the ball away from the defender, encouraging those sorts of challenges. Happy to delay and eat into the clock.
Second change coming for Auckland FC. Sam Cosgrove, who currently is the owner of the winning goal in this contest, will make way. Logan Rogerson will take his place. Another big shift from Sam Cosgrove. Let's have another look at his goal.
Well, on the day that he wears the 09 for Auckland, Sam Cosgrove has been the difference. Rising high, heading that one home. And now can enjoy the game from the sideline. And Logan Rogerson introduced that physical presence of Cosgrove departs, but it's a very dynamic front line now for Steve Corica.
The Mariners still harrying to try and get possession back. Instead, it's fallen the way of Vestrata. Louis Vestrata urged to shoot, and that's not going to trouble Andrew Redmayne. A couple of goals this season so far for Louis Vestrata.
I can see Paul Eiffel chuckling there. Louis Vestrata on his least favoured foot. And that was a shot that almost allowed Logan Rogers to get on the back end of it. We see here, he's done well again. Louis Vestrata known for tidying things up, but then Logan Rogerson had stopped but had time to speed back up.
The Mariners with 5 minutes plus stoppages to recreate history. They'll have belief they can. McKelmont looking for Noor, not going to find him. De Vries with a header away to Brimmer. Donaghy almost running himself into trouble, but gets help from Nathan Paul.
Since being introduced, Jake Brimmer has had some nice touches. And since Miguel DiPizio's been relieved by Warren Moon, what we've noticed is that the Mariners are going a lot more direct. The ball is being forced into the back line, who are then looking to hit the likes of the runners in the form of Blair, Noor, and Ollie Lavelle. Perhaps just missing that link from back to front at the moment.
But scrappy as we enter the final few moments. Attendance flashed up on the big screen, 10,225 here today. Not bad for a holiday weekend in the 09.
Well, those that have gambled and shown up today, in spite of the weather, the conditions here have been pretty horrendous in the lead up to this one, but those that are participating in this 90 minutes have enjoyed themselves. It's been sunshine in the second half.
But now they'll be holding their breath as the Mariners come again. Thea Harris belted upfield by Girdwood Reich. Have the Mariners got a couple of attacking moves still left in them? McKelmont. Thea Harris looking to link with Moragas. Comes inside instead, the A-League Centurion. Noor looking for it on the far side. Brimmer is in close proximity. Noor's got it away from him. Into De Vries, another corner coming the way of the visitors.
Jake Brimmer turns to Adam Kersey, but what we saw there was positive play from Sabit Noor. He wrestled the ball off Jake Brimmer. Unfortunately, couldn't get his shot on goal as Nando Peinecker stood between him and Michael Velt.
Fourth corner for the Mariners. McKelmont is going to have to wait as Adam Kersey tries to restore some order in the 6-yard box. Good luck doing that.
Do get the sense that there's going to be another half chance for the Mariners before the 90's up.
Will it come now? McKelmont, and he slips, and it's an unfortunate time to slip, but fortunately for him, it's come back to him. McKelmont into the 6-yard area, and Vowles! An error that's gone in, I'm certain of it. It has now. And Michael Vowles, unable to contain the ball at the near post, bundled in by the Mariners. History repeating at Go Media, and we're all square at 2 apiece.
A tale of two slips. Alfie McKelmont on the initial delivery. It's seen off by Auckland, but the ball finds its way back to the Mariner. He gets his head up and looks to use this turf, this slippery turf here at Auckland, to his advantage. Let's have a look here. Might be an inconsistent bounce for Michael Vout, and he commits to it. The ball pops up, it's so awkward. Michael Vout gets down too low, has to readjust, and from there, off his chest, off the post, he wants to claw it out, but it's desperation. Not sure when it crosses the line, but it certainly ends up in the back of the net.
I think it's an own goal, isn't it? Off Vout. I think it crosses the line off Vout. The follow-up was unnecessary. And can you believe this? 2-2 again between these two at this venue.
Well, VAR's checking here. That's what has created this delay.
Yes.
Oh, it's just horrible to watch, Ify.
Yeah, that's an own goal for me. Vowd's just lost it off his body. He's tried to scramble to get it back, and I think it just crosses the line, probably here.
What I think Michael Vout is expecting is this ball to skid through. He gets low and then has to adjust up. And as a goalkeeper, when you're in that sort of situation, just to get technical for a moment, you're looking to scoop, and his momentum takes him back, hits his chest off the post. And it looks like at that point, it crosses the line. And Warren Moon, 2 attempts on target for the Mariners, 2 goals.
So Ollie Laval has been given the goal, a brace, and 3 goals in 2 games for Ollie Laval against Auckland FC. 2-2, 3 minutes to be added, and Auckland FC, look, I know I've talked about the parallels, but this has followed exactly the same pattern as the first half, and this game has followed the same pattern of the 2-2 draw here last season. Incredible.
What we've also seen is Auckland produce enough to get themselves their noses in front, but then they've encouraged the Mariners back into the game. And again, another trend. The Mariners so efficient with what they have had, albeit Auckland have had a role in their own demise here.
Foul by Rogerson, and time ticks away. So January not fruitful for Auckland FC at home, a 3-1 loss to Newcastle on New Year's Day. And here they'll very much consider this 2 points dropped, having held the lead twice.
Well, Ollie Laval played for South Melbourne this season, found himself in the Australian Championship after being involved in the A-League last year for Western United, and now pops up into the Mariners squad in the window and gives Warren Moon an all-important double, and at this stage a share of the points.
But hold on, we got used to Auckland FC's late shows last season. Is there another one here as we enter the 3rd and final minute of the minimum added time? Jesse Randall sprints after that one. He's going to get there ahead of Donaghy. Rogerson. Logan Rogerson looking for options. Brimmer tries to slide it in. Pastrada. De Vries going to hang it up. Rogerson. Lachlan Brook. Lockie Brook. Into a defender and hacked away.
The touch was just too big from Lockie Brook there. Stood up again to the back post. Logan Rogerson with the lead. Lockie Brook there in the secondary capacity, and it's just too far away from him. If he gets that touch closer, he's got more of the goal to shoot for.
Marley Francois is going to join in. We're going to have a brief stoppage here. And Callan Elliott also into the action. Elliott for Gygos. And there's Marley Francois, introduced late. So the tension builds as a Mariners player is attended to. Christian Theoharis is the man receiving the treatment.
Looks like he's taken a knock. Some claret in the mouth for Christian Theoharis.
Jake Girdwood-Reich is the man who made way for Marley Francois deep into this game.
Now, Auckland have scored the most goals from set pieces. And this is a non-traditional one, but it's starting to have greater influence in modern football. Callan Elliott has the ball, ready to sling it in. A long throw. Could that rescue Auckland? Late here.
Well, wouldn't they love to still have Sam Cosgrove on?
I think the first cross in, Piney, I think if Cosgrove is on, I think it doesn't get to Lockie Brook. I think Cosgrove probably heads that back across. So, look, we talked about with about 10, 15 minutes to go, what does Corica do? Does he make the subs now? Goes for Cosgrove, probably wishes he hadn't and had gone for one of the wide men, but that's a coach's lot, unfortunately.
Well, Christian Theoharis, the occasion of his 100th A-League men's match is perhaps going to end unhappily as he trudges off. Steve Corica, well, he's jogging, okay, well, looks like he wants to get back on, but it's one of those when you've got to go all the way down to halfway to be allowed back on again. So the Mariners outnumbered as they size up this Callan Elliott long throw. Hurled in, bouncing around, Brimmer with the shot blocked. And he and Muir battle for the ball, and Sabat Muir, well, he's been held onto by Marley Francois, who's taken him for a ride. Marley Francois with the easiest yellow card Adam Kersey's ever handed out.
Sabat Muir, a combination of Muir and Tap, come up with a huge block. That was where you wanted the ball to fall. Steve Corica had the game at the feet of his vice-captain and Jake Brimmer, and the Mariners did enough to repel, but even better have turned this into a counter-attack.
And a set-piece situation, lumped forward. Blair is there. Theoharis back on. Taken away by Elliott, who's fresh off the bench. Breaking forward. Was he fouled? Yes, he was. Another yellow card. And tempers fraying. Christian Theoharis receives the latest booking as everything's getting just a bit frazzled here at the end, and understandably so.
Oh, as we let tempers settle, Nando Painica pleading for calm. He and Louis Vestrada are sent forward. It's going to be Dan Hall or Michael Val. Doesn't matter, but this has got one destination, and that is right into the heart of that Mariners defensive line. As Go Media rises, they realise this is probably the last roll of the dice for Auckland this afternoon.
Can the Port suck that ball into the net? As Hall lines it up. They say history never repeats. Well, it has here. The Central Coast Mariners, for the second time in 2 seasons, have come to Auckland and taken a share of the points. Just as Dan Hall was sizing up the free kick, Adam Kersey decided, we've had enough. A puff out of the cheeks of Steve Corica. Ollie Laval, the 2-goal hero for the Central Coast Mariners, in just his second appearance for the side. Scoring late in the first half and late in the second. And it gives us that final score. Auckland FC 2, the Central Coast Mariners 2. Well, the A-League delivers again. Remarkable, really. Nearly 70% of possession for Auckland FC. Our stats showed just 2 Central Coast Mariners attempts on target.